What is happening, everybody? James Hancock here. Just caught episode 10 of The Orville. I'm sorry that my review's a little late. I was reviewing Justice League earlier today. There's just not enough hours in the day to review all the stuff that I want to get to. But episode 10, Firestorm, I thought was absolutely sensational. But my enthusiasm was dampened a little bit when I read online that the 13th episode of this season is going to be held over for season 2. Somebody with better knowledge of television strategy would have to tell me why Fox would consider that to be a good idea. So sadly, we only have 2 episodes left to go on this remarkable season. And what I loved about this episode in particular is that it's totally different from any episode that has come before. One of the beautiful things about an episodic show versus the world of feature films is that you do have the freedom to experiment with wildly different styles from episode to episode. And I feel like whether you're talking Twilight Zone or Alfred Hitchcock Presents or Star Trek, whatever the case might be, if you've got a bunch of episodes to play with, why not do what is basically a haunted house episode set in space? This episode had no shortage of laughter, but man, Alara Kitan was already my favorite character in the show, but her lead over the other characters has widened considerably. Once again, she got to be the center of attention and basically her own story, and she just knocked it out of the park. I had not seen Halston Sage in anything prior to the show, but yeah, consider me a fan for life. So let's dig into some of the details of this. Basically, the Orville flies into this giant electrical storm out in space, and it causes all sorts of damage to the Orville, particularly down in engineering, where somebody gets crushed. Alara Kitan gets called in to save him, but when she arrives, she freezes when she sees a bunch of fire, and so she's unable to save him. He probably would have died anyway, but she feels this horrible guilt and starts second-guessing herself, wants to resign. She tries to work off her aggression with boxing and that sort of thing, but nothing's helping. She calls her parents, and we get a nice Star Trek Voyager cameo from Robert Picardo. I guess he also appeared in Star Trek First Contact, which was pretty funny as well. In any case, she finds out that when she was a baby, her house nearly burned down. It's because of her crying that they were alerted to the fact that the house was on fire. But she didn't even realize she had this phobia. And so she decides she needs to do something about it because she feels like she is ineffective as an officer if she has these phobias that she's not even aware of. So if you haven't seen this episode yet, stop now because I'm about to give away a major spoiler. 3, 2, 1. But as we learn at the end of the episode, she decides to recruit Isaac to do this massive experiment on their equivalent of the holodeck. He basically wants to run a scenario where she will encounter every major phobia that any member of the crew might have to see if she also shares those phobias. And that basically she will have her mind wiped so she won't know it's a simulation because her fear needs to be genuine when she encounters these obstacles. Complicating things further, she uses a special bit of clearance she has as the head of security so that nobody can end the simulation no matter how much danger she might be in. So she really has to get through the gauntlet and emerge on the other side unscathed before anyone can get access to her. I was a little annoyed to learn that it was all simulation because initially I thought, wow, like this is a legit supernatural haunted house experience they're having. And some of the phobias actually got to me. I mean, one of the first ones she encounters is this clown at the end of the hallway. And for a moment, my heart kind of froze. I was like, wait a second, I'm scared watching the Orville? Like, I'm used to laughing or enjoying the story or enjoying the action. Never expected to be scared, but for a brief shining moment, I was actually felt some anxiety when I saw this creature charging down towards Alara. But what I really loved was seeing how the various members of the crew react to these phobias in the context of the simulation. Like Lamar apparently is just petrified of clowns. He even refers to them as being scary as balls. I think anyone who's ever been freaked out by the movie Poltergeist or Stephen King's It or whatever the case might be can probably sympathize. And along the way, she encounters all sorts of different things. Like there's a giant vacuum of space in Kelly's room that Kelly and Alara nearly fall into. Dr. Finn goes completely insane and locks Alara down, and obviously this is a fear of surgery that is unfolding as she's kind of wiping down her belly and preparing to make an incision. But my favorite moment of the episode had to be when the entire crew's getting together trying to figure out what's going on. And Kelly says, this is going to sound like I'm talking out of my ass, to which Isaac replies, well, then please try to enunciate. I mean, sometimes Isaac, even though he is this artificial being, his deadpan response to slang or people's sexual histories, whatever the case might be, I feel like Isaac, for whatever reason, is like one of the best sources of comedy, even if he's never going to be like Malloy or Lamar, where he has like the ba-dum boom kind of like overt one-liners and or gags. But as the simulation continues to unfold, some of the phobias absolutely had me howling. At one point, the entire room gets overwhelmed by spiders, and everybody's saying, it can't be real, it's not possible, but one of them lands on Malloy's face, and he freaks out, and so I just started cracking up. But shortly thereafter, they encounter a giant spider, which completely swallows him up. We see his foot going into his mouth. I mean, it's grotesque, but for whatever reason, I was just cackling wildly like a hyena watching that scene. So in the end, Alara overcomes all these obstacles, and she's even a little bewildered when she comes out of it because she's covered in all these lacerations and burns, but she learns about the mind wipe, and she learns about how basically it's something she wanted for herself, and that now she never needs to worry about fearing anything ever again because she overcame each and every single phobia that Isaac pulled from various members of the crew. And when she actually encountered Isaac in the simulation, had this giant battle with him, apparently that phobia came from Bortus, who has a fear of encountering a superior being. And when they started discussing that, Bortus asked for permission to leave. So it's a great little self-conscious moment on Bortus's part. But overall, this was an excellent episode before our 2-week break before the next episode. Due to Thanksgiving, there will be no episode next week. So we'll get episode 11 in 2 weeks and episode 12 on December 7th. And then sadly, that'll be it until probably fall of 2018. So it's going to be a very long wait. My admiration and respect for this show has just grown over the course of the season. I feel like initially we had a few uneven episodes, but just lately, Seth MacFarlane's just been hitting so many doubles and triples and sometimes outright home runs that it's definitely my favorite show that is on right now. But I'm going to have to give it some thought about whether or not it's like my favorite ongoing show or not. I mean, there's some other shows like Westworld that obviously are very, very serious contenders. So I hope you enjoyed my review and recap. I greatly appreciate it. Please consider giving my channel a subscribe. If you want to score a Vulcan t-shirt like this one, you can go to tblocks.com. I joined their affiliate program, and if you use the coupon code GeekinTBX, it'll give you a 10% discount. And I think my next video is probably going to be a season 1 review of The Punisher, which starts up in a couple hours. So I'm really looking forward to that. But as always, I really appreciate the support from my channel. Hope everyone has an amazing weekend, and I'll talk to y'all in the very near future. So long.